It is time to leave your worries outside and laugh with us inside the Treehouse. I'm Dan O'Malley, along with Trey Trenholm. Coming up on today's episode of the Treehouse Show, we have a very heartfelt goodbye that we need to discuss here inside the Treehouse. That will be coming up today. An emotional goodbye inside the Treehouse. A very emotional episode coming up today. Plus, how much for just one earring? All that plus celebrity birthdays coming up inside the Treehouse Show today. And if you love what you hear today, then do us a favor and share it with a friend. Hit that share button from your favorite listening platform. Send it to a friend, a coworker, someone who might be going through a terrible loss, could use a pick-me-up. And together, let's grow the Treehouse Show. All right, let's jump in now with this to start. Am I... Sorry, I had the wrong thing. A guy goes online, he needs some relationship advice, and he says, my girlfriend expects me to pay for basically everything, and I only realized how weird it was after my friend pointed it out. Oh, buddy. He's a 26-year-old guy. His girlfriend is 24, and he says, my girlfriend expects me to pay for everything, and I only realized how weird it was after my friend pointed it out. Now, when I went to click on this to read the whole context of the story, after the headline, it was removed for some reason. I don't know if by a moderator, deleted by the original poster. I don't know. Trey, am I missing anything that is not currently in the headline? Because honestly, I have enough to go on just based on the headline.
So there is some nuance in here, and probably the first one is that one of the examples he gives is they were out shopping, and she said she found a perfume she really liked, but she goes, "Oh, I can't afford that," and he went and bought it for her anyways. Okay, that's on you, Bubba.
Yep.
And now he goes through some of the things of, well, yeah, we order dinner. I always pay. And she typically orders something more expensive.
Okay.
They were going on a holiday, and he said he booked a room, and she said, well, what about this room? It's a lot nicer. And obviously it was more expensive. She wanted to stay at a nicer hotel. Now that does not give any context as to, because the dollar in this story, wherever they were, it's obviously overseas because they use the word petrol. But he was throwing out numbers about the hotel was like $14K, but she has a job and she makes decent money at $55K. Obviously, we're not talking about dollars, because if you're making $55 a month, you can afford whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, no kidding.
But just it sounded like typical stuff, especially the fact that we're older. When we were dating, in my 20s and stuff, men were in general expected to pay for everything. That's just the way it was.
That was how we were raised.
Yeah. And it's, listen, one of the things that was so wonderful with Brandy was I paid for a lot of stuff, but she would go out and we'd be out somewhere doing something. She's like, I got this. You've done enough. Which was very cool. I've had relationships that were not like that.
I think being in our age bracket, I think we have enough experience out there, and because of our age, where we've experienced both, where there's sort of this expectation, and it's not always her fault, because if she's older and closer to the age like we are, even a little bit older than us, then we were raised and told you pay. And they were basically told the same thing. It's the guy's thing to pay, right? So that's just kind of nature versus, that's what they were told, so that's what they do. Younger, though, it very much is. And I think there's also a level of maturity that comes into play. Even if it's early on, it's expected that he pay. Sometimes a good mature woman will be like, you know what? I think it's time I start, paying for some stuff as well. And then you're right, on the younger side of things, it's definitely more common to have that sort of initiative to say, let me pay for this so you're not paying for everything.
Or we'll split. They split a lot of things.
Yeah.
Which that's, I mean, I don't even know if they use the term going Dutch anymore, but that was something in my 20s and 30s and long before that. If you were going Dutch, that meant, each person paid for themselves.
Which also, when you and I were growing up, if she brought that up, then that all automatically means this is no longer a date.
Yeah. No, you're just friends at that point.
Yeah, that was like the Gen X version of being friend zoned without being told you were now in the friend zone. It's like, I'll pay for this. It's like, oh man.
Listen, I had one relationship. Now this is 20 years ago, and at the time we had an arrangement, but I was for the most part staying with her. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she hit me one day. She's like, "You don't pay for rent or anything else. I pay for everything." I go, "Oh, really?" I go, "I'll tell you what. I'll start. I'm more than happy to start paying rent."
Mm-hmm.
I go, "But you need to start splitting the bills as far as food and going out." And I promise you, and I was right. I go, "You're coming out ahead. As things sit right now, it's far cheaper on you." I go, "But if you want to start splitting everything," and I mean all going out, drinks, dinner, all of it, I'm game. 1 month.
I would love to take part in this experiment.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't near as bad as you thought.
Mm-mm.
But now this is one of those things. And he goes, "Well, she occasionally pays for coffee or whatever." Listen, if you don't say anything, and especially if she says something like, "Oh, that's too expensive, I can't afford it," and you buy it for her anyways, that's on you, man.
Yeah. On occasion, and look, especially early on in a relationship, these things, the groundwork gets laid for how the relationship is going to run, how it's going to operate, right? So if you are constantly paying for stuff at the beginning of a relationship, it's going to be difficult to change that down the line. It's going to be nearly impossible for you to change it on your own down the line. In order for something like that to change, it's got to be the other side's idea. And so that's why early on you've got to kind of set some of these unspoken boundaries and ground rules. It's like, okay, I'm not going to pay for everything. And it's like you have to do it very delicately because you don't want to, because early on in a relationship is when all the good stuff is happening, right? Everything's happy. You probably don't have any disagreements. You sex all the time. I mean, it's just everything's fantastic. So bringing up something, you're like, okay, I noticed this. If I don't say something or do something about this now, then this could become a problem down the line. So you want to do it delicately because you don't want to ruin the honeymoon phase, right? It's tough, man. Relationships are hard.
They are. But I do think in this day and age, I still feel like unless she has she just makes a lot more money. Typically guys are going to pay for more stuff, but I think that's the sign of a good mate, good person you really want to maybe pursue something more serious with, is if she says every now and then, "Hey," and it's kind of a gratitude of, "Hey, you do a lot. Let me get this one."
I have noticed what you do. I acknowledge it and I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm now going to, show you a little bit, adjust your by paying for this or paying for that. And even then we may put up a little bit of a fight, but deep down, we would love for you to pay for stuff on occasion.
Yeah. It makes it all worthwhile. If gratitude, it's amazing. Gratitude goes such a long way. And even if you're just faking it, just say,
doesn't matter.
Just do it.
Just sell it. You will see the difference. It doesn't take much. It really doesn't.
Pick up the tab, you greedy bitch.
That's the deep deep gremlin side of us coming out, we all got him. He's down there. He doesn't show his head very often, but he's in there. And like I said, I said, relationships are hard, but the older I've gotten, the more mature I've gotten, / when you get older, you just stop giving a flying F about certain things, right? That's one of the beautiful things about getting older is you stop caring about certain things. You stop caring about someone's reaction or what people think about certain things, right? So I sort of came to terms with this a long time ago where it's like you play the game of, oh, I should wait 2 days before I call, or I have to do this. I'm supposed to do that. Yeah. You know what? Screw it. If you like her, call her. If you want to do this, do it. Say you want to do it. And if she doesn't, then she's not your person. Mm-hmm. And flip that script as well. If you really like him, don't play that game. Don't say, well, I've got a date with somebody else. Don't play those games, because if you do, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure and you're just testing a relationship unnecessarily. Just do what you want, do what feels right, and if that person is not on the same page, then it's not your person.
Unless that feeling is ghosting the person and never telling them why. Yeah, your sound advice, Dan.
Okay, yeah, there are exceptions. This is not this is not an across the board type of thing. Please have the wisdom to understand where there should be exceptions to the rule, right? But that was my approach that started to be my approach a long time ago, and it made everything a lot simpler. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to change.
I've never played the game of, oh, I'm going to wait, I need to wait 3 days or whatever. If I really like someone, I was always going to hey, I had a great time. Let's do it again.
And it's liberating, isn't it? Because then you're not sweating over these details. You're not fixated on, oh my God, do I say something now or is it too soon? Do I call or do I text? Especially now with technology, do I email? Do I snap? Whatever that is. There's all these things.
Do not email. Email is the most impersonal thing. That was actually one of the colder moments with Brandy is, I had been trying, again, I had no idea what was going on. And she didn't respond to a text, phone call, anything. I got an email from her.
Oof.
Just Trey, blah, 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 Brandy. It's like, wow. Yeah, that's how you do that's how you conduct a business transaction, not a relationship.
And then did she go on LinkedIn and post her resume with a little sign that says "Open to work"? Yeah. You're right. Yeah, the email thing is pretty cold. But then again, if email is your love language, and maybe then fine. If that's your deal, maybe you'll find
if
someone
email is your love language. You're going to be dating ChatGPT.
You know what? To each their own. Maybe it's safer for everybody that way.
I mean, it's just whatever you're going to put in email, you can put in a text.
That's true. But it doesn't feel as cold. It isn't sent with as much ice hanging from it.
No, email, unless if you want to tell the person to get lost or just absolutely drive the point home that you no longer give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Email is your vehicle of choice. But if you want to display any warmth, any feeling, any emotion, do not email.
And if you do email and you really want to drive the stake through the heart of the recipient, CC your ex on it.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting because as far as all this, who's supposed to pay for what in a relationship, everyone gets raised a little bit differently, but there's still some, social norms that have changed over the years. Like, splitting things is more and more common these days. Sometimes. So like in this case, this guy had no idea that it was weird for him to be paying for everything and for his girlfriend not to be paying for really anything. So much so that it was his buddy that had to point it out. On the flip side of that, it was a few weeks ago, I'm at a diner. So I'm sitting at the counter of a diner, right? And I'm hearing the employees talk about stuff because Tara and I were right at the register. So we're hearing all their conversations. And it was really entertaining. Trey, you know this. I don't care if you're in a restaurant or an actual bar, all the good action happens at the bar.
Oh, absolutely.
You get patron drama, employee drama. It's all right there. So at this diner, you have this older woman who I would say would be older Gen X, so older than both of us, talking to hardcore Gen Z girl, right? And they're talking about another employee who's not there and how terrible of a relationship she's in. So we're getting all the drama here at this diner. And so you've got the older Gen Xers saying how he's supposed to pay. She shouldn't be paying for anything. And the Gen Z girl is saying, like, look, I'll pay on occasion. Like, I think it's good to split because it should be even, blah, blah, blah. So it was interesting seeing their different perspectives. Where it really got dark and twisted is the girl they were talking about had the complete opposite relationship, where she was the one paying for everything and the guy was a total loser cheapskate. So much so that in the 3 years they were together, he only bought her one birthday gift. And to make matters worse, the one birthday gift he got her was one earring. Not the pair, not the set, one earring. And that was her first birthday with him in that relationship. So she's had 2 other birthdays since that, and he hasn't ever gotten her the other earring. That's the only thing he has paid for, apparently, in this relationship was one earring. And for 3 years, she's paid for everything.
I mean, was it a huge diamond stud?
No, it's like it was like a CZ type of situation.
I mean, I see. I'm at a point now in life where I know that's wrong and everything else, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, how do you do that? Because I couldn't, but it must be nice. I'd love to be taken care of.
I mean, I'd love to see his savings account.
Yeah.
It's probably overflowing. And you're right. This is what's fascinating by it. This is what's fascinating about it. It's like, yes, it is wrong to be that way, to take advantage of someone. On the other hand, he is being so cheap that it's almost commendable. Like, I want to study it and find out things about it. I want there to be a podcast about it that I would actually listen to. I want there to be a Netflix documentary on the guy that in a 3-year committed relationship has only bought her one earring. And that's it. I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah, I am too. I want to know how you get away with that. At a certain, I mean, do you start off and you know it's wrong and you're just suppressing the urge to actually do something and then you just get accustomed? Is this the case of a guy growing accustomed to a lifestyle? Then he just, does he have it? Is he saving money or is he just complete freeloading?
And does he have any courses available that I can take online?
Yeah. Yeah, and if he is freeloading, I think he's missing a really great opportunity for an income stream of, hey, you can freeload too.
This segment of the Treehouse Show is brought to you by Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration. To get your free roof inspection and property review, call 833-COOK-DFW. That's 833-COOK-DFW. On Sunday night, there was I think a microburst storm somewhere in DFW. So if any of that hit you, give them a call for that free roof inspection. And if it didn't, everyone is still going to be contending with triple-digit temperatures. the heat does have an effect on the lifespan of your roof and other systems in your house. So give them a call, have them come check it out for free. 833-COOK-DFW or the website cookdfw.com. Before we jump into birthdays, Trey clearly has something on his mind. What is it?
Oh, I just laughing at the text Carrie Cook sent us, where my comment was too soon.
Let's go back in time to Saturday. Doodaloo, doodaloo, doodaloo. Carrie Cook sends, I got it. Brandy, your girlfriend, left because sweet baby Daisy passed. Trey didn't have his panty dropper anymore. Silly face and upside down smiley. Trey's response?
Too soon.
Carrie Cook's response, sorry. Big hugs. Love you, Carrie. Yeah. Trey ain't there yet. But I appreciate the effort. All right. Today is Tuesday, August 11, 2026. Let's celebrate today with some birthdays. Actress Anna Gunn is 58. She's a two-time Emmy winner, best known as Skylar White on Breaking Bad. Anna Gunn, 58 today. This is one of those things that this is where I go counter to the mainstream. I did not love Breaking Bad. I think I'm on the record as having said this a number of times. I got about halfway through season 3. There was an episode where Walt is just doing chores, and when he's underneath the sink in the kitchen, I was like, I'm out. It was like I was one of the sharks on Shark Tank. They came in with that episode, and I just said, and for this reason, I'm out.
Never seen an episode.
It just didn't hit me the way it hit so many other people. I don't know why. It just.
Well, part of it is just in the time frame. In its heyday was in my drinking days, and I missed a lot of TV at that point. But
you had different priorities.
Well, even if I did watch it, I would remember it. It's just the whole thing.
You were living your own version of Breaking Bad.
Yeah. But probably the two shows, I think the two biggest shows of that time were Breaking Bad and what's the zombie show?
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. I've never seen an episode of either one.
I was all over Walking Dead, and then I wasn't. And then I still see promos for the continuation of Walking Dead, and I'm just like, how? What? Are you serious? Like, God, these poor actors. I mean, now at least Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who played Negan, or plays Negan still. I mean, he's at least done other stuff. But it's the actress that plays Maggie. Her last name's Cohen. I can't remember her first name, but I mean, she's just been all Walking Dead her whole career. Same way with the lady that plays Carol. Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl. At least he's had other things in his career, but. Man, at a certain point, you're just like, all right, well, I gotta ride this gravy train while I can, and I kind of feel bad for him.
I mean, depending on how much money they're making, if they're still, if they're pulling down 7 figures for playing the same character every year, good on them.
Hey, it worked for Susan Lucci on soap operas.
Forever.
There is something to be said about getting consistent work, and as an actor, that's one of the hardest things to come by. So it's always interesting, and this is a very delicate balance that you've seen some actors succeed and some fail, which is you've got a good job, you're on a consistent thing, you got a consistent paycheck, which is already statistically impossible to come by in Hollywood. So do you take the extra gambling step and try to push it? And there's examples, like I said, of it turning out well and turning out bad. Noah Wyle is a good current example of that. He was riding a hell of a wave on ER and decided to punch out and try to jump into film and stuff. and it didn't go the way he thought, and then he was gone from ER, and then he had a very just sort of mid-career up until recently with The Pit. But then you've got other examples where Matthew McConaughey did, and granted, he was already in movies and stuff, but he was so tired, he wanted to do something other than all the rom-coms. So he basically stopped acting because that was all he was getting. All the offers were for romantic comedies. So I think I saw an interview with him. It was like almost 2 years before he finally got something else in that he could do. He was looking into becoming a professor at UT.
Mm-hmm. But then you take someone like Ellen Pompeo playing them. That's certainly worked out well for her.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
the Grey's Anatomy gravy train is not a bad one.
And then they're going into, I mean, they're 20 plus seasons. The NCIS crew, I mean, there have been some ins and outs there, but a few of them have been there for most of the show. So listen, if you're an actor and you have a solid part in something, it's not like you're, Batman or William Shatner or, some of these people that you had a short run on a TV show, but you basically were typecast for the rest of your life. Yeah. And if you're going to be typecast and you get a 20-year run, screw them, because
roll with it.
You should be set for life at that point.
Yeah, because honest to God, if the Friends cast never did anything since Friends, they are okay because they're all still making $20 million a year on residuals.
The people, the low key ones that have absolutely ridden a gravy train for 30 plus years are the Simpsons. The people who do the voice work for the Simpsons.
That is a good gig. That's a great gig. Part of, I think, when I think about this, when it comes to like things like The Walking Dead, so is it Sarah Cohen? I can't remember. Anyway, some of these actors that have been sort of locked into the Walking Dead series, on one hand, good on them for getting a consistent job and a consistent paying one, which is, as we've stated, it's very hard to come by. On the flip side, and this is just kind of luck to a certain degree, you're still on Walking Dead and you're looking back at some of the actors that used to be on the show, like, I don't know, John Bernthal, and you're like, oh my God, look at what he's doing now. Andrew Lincoln, who was Rick Grimes on Walking Dead, was a bona fide actor. He was in Love Actually before Walking Dead. He gets cast as Rick Grimes. It's an iconic role as far as television series are concerned. John Bernthal's kind of his right-hand supporting guy. They kill Shane off, which is John Bernthal's character, which needed to happen in the story. It wasn't because John Bernthal was about to blow up, at least as far as I know. But they write off his character. He dies in the show, and then he absolutely blows up into a bona fide movie star. And Andrew Lincoln is back on the set in Georgia doing Walking Dead going like, God damn it.
By the way, I saw Spider-Man.
And?
It was great. I feel like
I was scared there for a moment.
You maybe loved it a little more than I did, but I thought it was a fantastic movie. It's funny because months ago we talked about it. I said Jean Grey is one of those characters. But spoiler alert, everyone, if you haven't seen the movie, sorry.
I think at this point everybody knows.
But Jean Grey is one of those characters that never really got her due in the X-Men because she was one of the most powerful characters as far as the mutants go. Really good introduction with her character. But really good movie. Speaking of The Punisher. The biggest pisser for that movie, and I use this as a double entendre. You have to wait. I mean, all Marvel movies, there's something at the end, after the credits, everything else. I really feel like they made the credits extra long for Spider-Man because I had to pee really bad, and then I just had to sit there and really of all the little Easter eggs you get at the end of the Marvel movies, that was the worst one. That was
bad.
Yeah,
that was the worst thing about the movie. Yeah, you're right. It was. This is why it's important when you go into a Marvel movie, if you don't go the first day, like the first actual day of release, like I went on, so I mean, Spider-Man's been out over a week now, right? So if you don't know some of these things, you can't expect the rest of the world to operate spoiler free after over a week. We now live in a 24-hour society, so that's on you. But when Spider-Man came out last week, I went on Sunday. Okay? So enough time had passed to where I could search how many in-credit scenes are there. So I searched that before going to the movie. So I was able to, once the credits started, I went to go pee and then came back to see the final end credit. And I feel like I got the short end of the stick on that, and I didn't sit there the whole credits like you did.
I had seen on social media what I thought was just part of the end credits, not or the scene at the end of the credits, but no, that was it. And I'm like, really? I was like, and it's bad on Marvel because they have to do better on the rest of them, or else people are going to not start, wait for that little nugget you get at the end. And sometimes with the Marvel movies, they would at least divide it up and put some of that in the middle of the credits.
Yeah. And I liked the formula that they did with that. And they got away from that formula with the Spider-Man. So usually the formula was on the Marvel movies, the post-credit scenes that they would do is the one that had to do with sort of the overall story and trajectory of future films came right after the initial cast and director credits, right?
Right.
So before you got into the big,
before you got to the line credits where they actually were still doing the scenes and putting the names out there, they would finish that and then do
the story-based in-credit scene that you needed. And then if there was one at the very end, that was one that was usually silly and you didn't need it, so you could go.
The one at Avengers is still probably my all-time favorite because they're eating shawarma.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It's still one of the best ones, without a doubt.
Yeah,
and they're not saying a freaking word, and it was perfect. You're like, just yum, yum, yum. Yeah. Get back to that. More of that, please.
Yes.
This segment of the Treehouse Show is brought to you by, well, us. You can go to patreon.com/treehouseonair and subscribe to get more Treehouse in your life today. Treehouse Plus, Super Plus, and Ultimate Treehouse all on the table for you to subscribe to. Subscriber-only content, bonus episodes, video, it's all there. In actuality, before we started this episode of the Treehouse, we did the Treehouse Plus episode. So that's already up at patreon.com/treehouseonair. And starting this week for Ultimate Treehouse subscribers, we are doing a live recording of the show. So it'll be a live stream for our Ultimate Treehouse subscribers. So not only do you get to have fun with us live as we record the episode, but you obviously get that episode well before anybody else sees or hears it. So patreon.com/treehouseonair and get more Treehouse in your life today. Before we get to a tender and heartfelt goodbye inside the Treehouse, it is very important that we mention one other birthday, because we were just talking about Spider-Man and the Marvel Cinematic Universe and eating shawarma at the end of Avengers. Chris Hemsworth is 43 today. And he's very pertinent in the conversation we were having as well about getting a role and just running it into the ground, riding the wave for as long as you can, whether it's what's her name on Walking Dead or, whoever on a TV show. Chris Hemsworth is very much on the record saying, I will play Thor for as long as I can. He loves the role. He loves the money. Now, granted, playing Thor is different every couple of years versus the same show week in, week out. It's not like he's on NCIS Australia, right? And he's making amazing money doing it. But I'm with him. If I get a role like that in the movies where you're making $5, $10, $15, $20 million per picture, hell yeah, I will be Thor till I die.
You're Thor. I mean, that's one of the iconic roles. I mean, It's why Patrick Stewart loved being, Jean-Luc Picard. There's some roles where you go, yeah, okay, if that's how people, and then I mean, he was obviously Professor Xavier. I mean, X-Men. I mean, but yeah, I don't feel sorry for Chris Hemsworth because let's see, he's done. There's 4 Avengers. There's been, I think, 4 Thor movies.
Hang on. Thor, Dark World, Love and Thunder,
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok. So yeah, four individual Thors. Yep.
And then some crossover
Cameos
roles,
here.
Captain America, the other, but some probably 10 movies so far. Yeah.
And he's still and because you're doing that, it's movies. You can still do other stuff on the side, like that little film franchise on Netflix called Extraction. Oh, that first Extraction is so effing good.
Did I see that?
Oh, buddy, if you have not seen Extraction, oh my God. As soon as we're done with this episode, go. I don't care what you're doing the rest of the day. You go watch Extraction.
I feel like I did see it.
I think you did. It's the one where he plays an Australian special forces, like private contractor mercenary type, and he has to protect some Indian kid in India, and there's another mercenary that's out to get them, and then something else happens, and then something else happens. He gets shot in the neck on the bridge and falls in the river.
Oh yeah, okay, I did see it.
But it's like the ultimate in hand-to-hand combat and gun porn. Oh, especially when he gets his Glock jammed and he re-racks the slide on his own chest plate. God, that's awesome.
I mean, yeah, and I mean he did that Limitless series on National Geographic, but again, talking about good genetics, and yeah, you basically everything you do is built around the fact that you're built like a Greek god.
It's really unfair.
Or Norse, as it were.
True. All right. Not to put a full dampener on the shenanigans here inside the treehouse, but it is important that we share with you and acknowledge something that is important to us. I'm not going to mince any words here. There is a hierarchy to Treehouse Show listeners. We love and appreciate every single listener we have. But let's be honest, there's some that rise above others. Not because they're better than you or anything like that. It's just because they may have been around longer. We may have had more of a personal relationship with them. And that is absolutely the case of our Robert, who got that name from over 2 decades ago. He would call into the radio show so often that when we would type in Robert on the call screen and then the comment of whatever he was going to say, Russ would typically ask, is that our Robert? Versus just some other random Robert that happened to be calling in. Because Russ knew if it was our Robert, it was going to be a good call, and then he was looking forward to it. It got to the point where I started typing it into the screen, our Robert. And we heard the unfortunate news last week that our Robert passed away. I don't take that lightly, especially because I feel like I've been sharing more death announcements on this show in recent years than I really care to. And it seems like they keep stacking up. I think, Trey, you and I saw Robert's sister post on social media about Robert passing away. And we had also received an email from her directly. So we saw it on social media because we're friends with Robert on social media. We're friends with his sister Shauna on social media. So we saw the post, I believe, first, and then I checked the email and saw that she had sent us an email as well about it. So I'll share that with you now. Dan, Trey, and Jerry. This is Robert Powell's, yes, the Robert you referred to as our Robert, sister. Wanted to let you all know that after experiencing declining health, congestive heart failure, kidney and liver failure, and diabetes over the past several months, Robert passed away today. I know he would want you all to know how much he loved you guys and how special you all were to him. He loved the Treehouse Show podcast, as do I, and he would want to make sure you guys knew that. Thank you for all you have done for him over the years, Shauna. Thank you for that, Shauna. And this is what I mean by sometimes listeners rise above other listeners because we get a personal relationship with them that we don't always get with everyone. Robert was one of the first listeners of the Russ Martin Show I ever met. When I started on the show in 2002 and got brought into screen calls, Dan Lewis, the producer at the time, told me there are certain people that call in a lot and they get, special privileges. And the first one he mentioned was our Robert. I had so many great conversations with Robert over the years, both on and off the air. He would come to events, not just RMS show events, but he came to Treehouse events. He was front row at so many of our live shows. And I am going to miss him.
He was not only just a wonderful person, but he always fascinated me because he had such a wide variety of interest and things that interested him. You would see him post, and he had a tendency to go on streaks about posting about things, and he'd get on like a church streak and he'd post on church. One of the things that he absolutely loved, and I will argue that maybe there has not been a bigger supporter in the DFW Metroplex of women's professional football than Robert Powell was.
That is absolutely true, and not in a creepy way at all.
No, he really advocated for it, and I often had to bite my tongue and going, dude. But he came to a birthday party of mine. He back when I worked at the Ivy, would come down there every now and then. He was a wonderful person. Looked after his family, just a sweet soul. And I was just, my one word text to you when I sent you the screenshot of it was just fuck. Because it's like, we have been surrounded by a lot of death and loss this year, and it needs to stop. So knock it off, everybody.
Yeah. I think it's time, and sorry for the pun, but whatever. It's time that we resurrect an old Russ Martin Show rule that Russ put in place years ago when someone died. And that is, you're not allowed to die until we say it's okay. Especially now, because we need every listener we can get. And if you keep dying,
yeah,
then we don't have anybody. Now, some joking aside, there have been a number of listeners that have passed away over the years. Some that we've had more personal relationships than with others. Some we've, in passing here and there. There have been members of, the show and the extended cast of the show that have died. Obviously, Russ himself died. And I keep thinking about this morbid list that I need to make about the people in and around this show, whether it was, RMS or the Treehouse version of this show. Some of the other listeners that stand out to me, in addition to our Robert, who now needs to be added to that list. One of the first was Gary from the Grove. That was a guy who was the pro wrestling addict, and he and Russ would get into shouting matches both on the phone and in person. One of the great bits in DFW radio history was Gary from the Grove. Him running through a plate glass sliding door, peeing his pants, all sorts of stuff that happened in and around the show. And when we got word that he had died, that that was one of the first ones that I remember, period, as like, oh my God, I'm not going to see or hear that guy ever again. And there's been some others along the way as well. There was one that was real personal to me because he and I struck up just sort of a bond through email and text and stuff and social media. It was a guy named Kevin Rounds. He was hysterical listener. Loved the show. Would comment mostly behind the scenes. He would call in on occasion. He wasn't as vocal and seen as Robert or Gary from the Grove, but he was the guy that when I was on the fan, he was still listening to me, and I had talked about how I had met this girl, and he found her online, and he's like, "Dude, you totally outkicked your coverage. You have like a bionic leg or something," and that was Tara,
Yeah.
and that was Kevin. And similar thing. His sister or his wife saying, "Oh, he passed away." I was like, "What?" And these things have happened over the years. I mean, there's many others, but it's just sad, and I just wanted to make sure that we get a moment to say a proper goodbye to one of the all-time great Russ Martin Show, Treehouse Show listeners in our Robert.
Very well said.
And go ahead.
Oh, I was going to make just a joke of it's.
Oh,
It's
I've
too
got
bad
one too.
We didn't have a call-in line on the podcast, so then everyone would understand. Also, it would call Robert the mouth breather.
That's true. He was a big mouth breather. And hearing about how he passed away, maybe that should have been a sign.
We love you, Robert.
We love you, buddy. We're going to miss you a whole hell of a lot here inside the Treehouse. If there was a listener Hall of Fame, you would be first in line.
Mount Rushmore.
Absolutely. We will see you next time right here inside the Treehouse.
What a perfect time for your mic to crap out.
Well, I'm all about timing.